Hello, welcome to the Harrington Group International Corrective Action Management Software Overview. Due to the number of people on today's calls, the phones are muted, but we would happy to answer questions if you use the question section of the webinar. A copy of the presentation is available to download, or if you need help later to see it, there's an email that you can request that. We're real happy with the attendance for this event across a lot of different markets, not just manufacturing and aerospace and automotive, but a lot of nonprofit, oil and energy, some city government groups. So it really is a subject that I think people are wrestling with, and I hope we can go through it with you today. We're going to talk about, in general, the problem with corrective action systems, a way to solve those problems. We've got Rodney with us today, who's going to do a software demo, and then we'll talk about the return on investment in this area. The biggest challenge that we hear from our customers and from the industry with corrective action is, boy, it seems like we spend a bunch of time and money trying to do all this corrective action, but nothing that gets better. What we found is that, if you're trying to manage this in a binder or a spreadsheet and trying to track it, it's hard. And, people assume that, the problems we're working on was the actual problem. People assume that they said we're done, that there's no reason to do anything else, that whatever they worked on when they said they were done directly related to the problem. It wasn't something else. And if they couldn't do it, if it wasn't effective, they wouldn't have mentioned it, and steps were taken to assure it doesn't occur again. Anyhow, all of these are just the challenges people go through. And the solution we found is a way to make it easier to just management. I mean, just because somebody came back to you and said, here's my corrective action, like Ronald Reagan back in the days, trust but verify. So we want to make sure we go out and verify. So the process is, you look at the risk, and in corrective action, that can be a single event, a catastrophic event, or just a high cost event. It can be trends of problems that you're seeing out in the field or within your facilities or from your suppliers. However you come up with the process for issuing it, issue the corrective action, review the problem, come up with some way to fix it, some way to do your corrective action. But probably the most important part of this entire process is verify. Make sure that whatever we said we did works. And, again, the problem that we hear is, well, John, we're so busy, we got limited time, we're going through all this stuff. I don't have time to go through the spreadsheet. That's why we need a better information system. So we want to start thinking about a robust database tool that can quickly get your reports that you're looking for, aging reports, analysis reports, charts with statistics that tailor what you want and how you want to look at. And Rodney's going to show us some of that capability in a minute. And what we're trying to do is, when we look at this thing, is eliminate the hassles. Or the labor-intensive, tedious tasks that, to be quite honest, I don't care where you are in the organization, a lot of people don't have time to do things like that. And again, track the entire corrective action workflow from problem down through verification, and stay on top of things from start to finish. So with that, Rodney, I'm going to make you presenter, and you can take it away.
Great. Thanks, John. Here we go. Hold on. Let me get presenting here. Okay, great. There we go. All right. So how I'm going to get into this 8D demonstration and corrective action demonstration, I'm going to kick it off with this email that I have on my screen. And just briefly, I'm going to kind of go over like 5 key areas here. So the first area is how we would update an 8D record and attach some evidence. And in this case, I was assigned to this record an HQMS user can set me as the responsible or technically the champion here, and then I receive an email. So when I click on the link in the email, then it will take me to a login page here, and then it'll take me right to that record. And in this case, we're at the D2 step. I'm not going to go over all the exact steps here. You can see them presented on the screen, and this in HQMS, the 8D follows pretty much the industry standard of the 8D format. And so basically, the user just works through this. It's really a form that they're filling out. They're putting in information. And if I click on this approve link, we already have the problem statement set up. There was already an attachment here. I can simply click approve. That takes me to the next area, which of course is choosing the containment actions. And so if I click on edit up at the top of the screen, just to kind of highlight how easy it is for someone to put their information in, they would just simply click into an area and just type. And so it's similar to any form you might see on a website. And some other things that I can do here, maybe if I want someone else to make sure I put the containment actions in here properly, something we have, and this can apply to the closure or the root cause or any step. I can request someone else to sign on this record here. And then they would receive an email, they would log in, they would complete the record. But also, I mentioned attaching evidence. So we have this references area here, and I can upload a file. And I just simply find a file on my computer, click open, there it is. I can also reference another record within HQMS. Maybe a procedure was not followed correctly, and there's a document in the document control module. So I can select that and attach, the current revision of the document that had a problem there. And let's see here. All right, and I simply click create reference each way, click save. So now I've attached a file, I've referenced a document in there, and I can continue on with the record. We have these approve links and edit and save, and so that's how we essentially work through it. But something else, I guess, a little bonus here that I want to point out. If I go to this area here, we click on history. A lot of people will ask me about the audit trails of the record. We want to see who did what they changed, when they changed it. So we have this history area that shows all those changes to the record. And just one quick highlight on the main details page, when I go back into that edit mode, we have drop-down fields here. Some fields are text fields. So the admins, they can add values to these drop-down fields very easily if they have the authorization to do so. And also admins can change the labels here in case if you want some other type of data to go in that field. So this will lead me to my next topic here, is how we can create some follow-up actions or activities. And so, for example, I'm going to go down into the root cause area here, and I might want someone to complete a task. And so a task is just like a simple assignment within the system. So I can simply choose task management here, and I can, easily assign this to someone. So that way, when the person completes this task, I would get a notification, I would approve the task, and then I can continue on with the corrective action record. And so I'll go back to the 8D record here. Something else, as an example, I'm going to create a scheduled training record. That was a task, maybe down in the implementation of the corrective actions. If I skip ahead, we can associate another type of record here. And this one is a scheduled training. Maybe we updated the procedure from that document. We have to train the new employees. And so this is one way to manage that here. And there we go. So that's our training activity. That's going to be permanently associated with the 8D. I'm not going to jump back to that 8D at this time. Instead, I'm going to go to our list page. So that's the third topic here, which is how we can search for, potentially find corrective action records. You might have a bunch of records in your system over the course of time. So you want to have a way to easily find those records. And I think that HQMS, the filters are pretty easy to use. I do have some that I already had saved. If I go to this area up here, I have this filter called All Records, More Fields. And essentially what that did is it added more fields into this filter area. So I can look for fields based on supplier or the location originated or the date originated. For example, records originated in this year. I can easily add other fields by simply clicking here, click on a field, there it is in the filter. So like on date originated, I could choose like previous year or this year. Date closed is empty. That would show open records. And just to show something fancy in location here, because that's a drop-down field. So we have an option where it essentially functions as an OR parameter. So this would find records where the location is Orlando or Italy, and there's our records. Now, of course, we don't see all these fields in what we call the layout area, but we do have ways to manage that where I can add additional fields to the layout to show more information. And here's, just a quick, screenshot of how we can add those fields. I'm not going to go into the detail there. Great. So another example here, we have My Employees Overdue. That would show records where the people that are set up as my employees because I'm their direct manager, or one of my employees is their manager. And then these records are also overdue. So that's just some filters. Let me reset this here. Hide that guy. And so the other portion is this layout. I had a layout where I just added some fields. I'm going to choose this layout that I created called Export, which adds a lot of fields. And so then I have this Export button up at the top. That would let me view this information in an Excel spreadsheet. So all those columns and rows, they're now in Excel. And from here, I can turn it into a table or do anything special like that. All right, and just one other thing here. We can set up a custom sort where maybe I want to sort by location, then I want to sort by department, then I want to sort by status. And so the system will arrange all the records in that way. And so, in talking about this list, that's going to lead me to the next topic, which is the report area. Because before you run a report, you can set up a filter to only show those specific records on the report. And so I showed an example where I ran that Excel spreadsheet, but that's not technically what we call a report. So I'm going to click on charts. I mentioned reports. I'm going to go to this charts area up here. And you can choose a module. We can pick a chart. But what I've already done is on my home page, I've already got a chart that I've generated and I've saved it. So the 7D Pareto by department, average total cost, all records line chart. That's a lot of text there. But what we'll see when this generates here, it's a Pareto It's grouping the records by the department that was specified, and instead of showing me the total number of records, it's taking the cost value, giving us an average, and that's what it's plotting on our chart. And it was also set up as a line chart. The bar charts are the default. So if I chose bar here, click refresh, so we can see an example of a bar chart there. And then if I change this aggregate option down here to count instead, just kind of showing some of the flexibility of how you can rearrange information on these charts. So this gives us the number of records per department instead of the average cost. So that's an example of a chart. Another example of a report, we'll go into that 8D record. Each module or each detail page will have a details report, which is the information from that record presented in a printable format, or in this case, it's going to be a PDF file, which I can share with other people through email. And so there's an example of a report that shows information from one record. There are other reports in here. We do have aging reports, trend reports, and so those would show information for multiple records on the report. And so that kind of concludes the information on reports there. The next topic, I'm not really going to show too much information, just to explain that we do have other action modules within the system. So I was showing primarily 8D with a little bit of 7D with a Pareto chart. So we have a 7D corrective action module. We also have what we call just regular corrective action, which has a more limited set of fields depending on what you want to report on. And we have a preventive action module if you just simply, I identify a potential problem and you want to prevent it from happening, of course. And there's some other related modules like management action, which kind of follows like the PDCA principles or steps. There's an opportunity for improvement module. And we also have a root cause analysis module that follows through some stuff in the Six Sigma DMAIC principles. And so that concludes my portion. Thank you. And I'll turn it back over to John.
All right. Thanks, Rodney. When it comes to ROI, this is an interesting subject because everyone wants to get a specific numerical ROI for efforts of this nature. And, that may or may not be possible. If you need help, ask the accounting department for help. They have the data that's needed, and even if it is an estimate. But when you go to accounting, you got to talk to them about, what's going to happen? Tell me the process that's going to do it. So these are just some of them. I mean, when you're reviewing risk, make sure that the problems are identified. And if you can connect it to the nonconformist that created it or the audit that found it, that's great because it shows a trail of where the problem came from and how it was reviewed. When you issue it, just make sure the proper parties are made aware of it, who's assigned to do what, and who can get updates on it. Rodney was sharing with that the HQMS software has several different action types. You can pick one and be consistent with that, or use which one's appropriate. Some might require 8D, some might require PDCA, some might require Six Sigma effort. But make sure you define it and then, of course, perform it. And then, as we indicated, effectiveness follow-up is the heart of making the ROI. Did what we put in work? Rodney, thanks for sharing the flexibility in reporting and analysis, and not only be able to configure it a lot of different ways, but the ability to store a report or a chart that you're going to run maybe every week or every month and distribute and show people. So just make sure that you get the accounting department to help with it. It makes the entire process a lot easier. So, where do you go from here? Based on the people that are on today's call, there's some of you that are just getting started. You don't really have anything in place. And then from some of the people, I recognize you already have something in place and you want a better way to manage it, regardless where you're at. Identify the current situation, identify the actual or potential costs that are involved. And a lot of these right now are labor intensive. So labor processing, labor reporting, if that can be automated, it saves a tremendous amount of money. Go out to the people, identify the process that you have or that you want. And then, you got to describe, all right, point B, where we're going to get there. So we're at here, we're going to go here. Here's the savings we're looking at. And back to the software, there's going to be some technology required to be able to get that savings, to get that ROI. The corrective action is one of several modules of the HQMS enterprise system. If you'd like to learn more about them, our website is www.hgint.com. And just a little bit about the company. Harrington Group has been in business since 1991 as one of the initial creators of enterprise quality management software decades ago. 45,000 customers globally are using the tool to improve their revenue and their bottom line. Our team focuses on cost-effective quality management that will evolve as your business grows, including, just simple things like a starter kit that lets you pick. You don't have to go with all the modules in Harrington, just pick 4 to get started, things like that. But we can help you with the ROI. We can help quantify it, predict it, work with your accounting group. That's where the rubber hits the road. Let's see if we have any questions. On the attaching, here's a question, Rodney. When you were attaching evidence, I think you showed how to do a file, but was there another option to just do like link to something or just point? I'm consolidating the question, but what they're getting at is they want to point to another app somewhere. Can we do that?
Yes, technically, I didn't go over all the types of references, but yeah, you can simply associate a link as a reference or a hyperlink. So if you copied and pasted, maybe you found a document on OSHA's website, you could copy that link, paste it into HQMS, and there you go. Or a link on, maybe if you have an internal intranet site and you wish to link into that. So you certainly have that ability.
Okay, great. The next two really aren't questions or comments, but I'll go ahead and share them. The one comment is the ability to look at my employees and what they have overdue is great, smiley face. So it looked like this probably is a manager that's just trying to manage a group of maybe quality engineers and just trying to keep track of what they're up to. The other one is very long, but in a nutshell, what they're saying is, I just went through an external audit by both a customer and a registrar. If I had an app like this, the audit would have been faster with no findings. Thanks for sharing. So I appreciate that as well. Again, if you want to know anything else, reach out to us, 800 ISO 9000, sales@hgint.com, or the website is www.hgint.com. Thank you for your time.